Okay, we'll call to order the regular city council meeting Monday, December 11th, 7 p.m. Roll call.
Toby Nelson.
Michelle Otto.
Kirby Moyna.
Sam Solars.
David Paradise.
Jessica Bonniwell.
Jackie Hines.
Spencer Johnson.
Dan Reamer.
Invocation.
Let's pray. In this holiday season, let us be thankful for all the beauty around us, especially in this community, how it makes it so welcoming to see lights and decorations, and we are thankful for all those people that helped make that happen. We're thankful for new businesses that open up doors and draw more people together. We're thankful for all the work that's being done with the budget and all the things to make 2024 happen in a healthy, full way. And God, we ask you to guide this group of leaders, and help them to be better listeners to each other, to the people they serve, and come up with the best solutions for all. Keep our first responders safe this season, as well as our city workers, if and they do get to plow snow. And remind us all of the special gift of Christmas, bringing light into dark places. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Kathy. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, move on to approve the agenda. There are a couple of items that we need to add. Under Public Works, number 3 will be accept resignation of Public Works employee. Number 4 will be approval to go out and hire a new maintenance worker or seasonal help. Not sure how you want to put that. And then 5 will be updates.
All right, we'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Approval of the consent agenda.
I just have a couple questions. Page 21. There's a $2,365.50 charge to the Herzog property in October of 2023. Do you know what, it's engineering fees? Sorry, what?
I didn't hear what you said.
Engineering fees for the Herzog property for $2,365.50.
I believe that was labeled on their invoice as that for when they did the survey back in October.
Survey of the fence.
Yep, okay. And then, let's see, page 24. What did I have? No, we can skip that. 26, 27. And then I was just gonna comment on all of the building permits, keeping you guys super busy.
Lots of them.
There's like 4 pages of those. And then 32. The flowers for the pots for untied 62084, is that the winter pots?
The pots for untieds, was that for the winter pots? Yep.
Okay. Okay, and then 30. And then on page 34, it's just a generalization of everything, right? Right, so.
It's generalized expense by fund.
Okay, all right. Again, I just want to thank you. It's a nice little eye opener and seeing it all broke down, and so it looks good. Thanks. That's all.
No more questions?
No, good for now.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. Otto?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Truth and taxation, public hearing. So at this time, I will make a motion to close the regular city council meeting and open the truth and taxation public hearing.
I will second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in our public hearing. If there are any questions from residents or comments about the budget and the levy for 2024, you can approach the podium, state your name and address for the record, and then can we just get a brief summary of the 2024 budget and tax levy?
The 2024 levy for the city of Montrose that is being considered is $1,842,431. This is a 4.5% increase, or $79,574 over 2023. The estimated tax capacity for 2024 is $4,175,964 compared to $3,681,203 for 2023, or approximately a 13.44% increase. With the estimated increase in the tax capacity, the tax rate will decrease by approximately 3.77%, which is a 44.12% tax rate.
And if anybody does have a copy of the packet that's available by the door on page 40, it gives a little bit of a breakdown of what that might look like for you based on home values, comparing from 2023 to 2024, and that is on page 40. So if there is any public comment or questions at this time, please step up to the podium. Are there any public questions or comments regarding the 2024 budget and levy? I'll ask for a third and final time. Are there any questions or public comment on the 2024 budget and levy for the city of Montrose? Hearing none, I will make a motion to close the public hearing and reopen the regular city council meeting.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We're back in our regular city council meeting.
Mayor and council, if there are no other questions on the budget, there is a resolution 2023-40 included in your packet, a resolution authorizing the year 2024 final property tax levy and budget.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-40, a resolution authorizing the year 2024 final property tax levy and budget.
I'll second that. Further discussion? I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Wright County Sheriff's Office.
Evening. Not a significant amount to report for this month. We've been staying pretty busy, even though we've been just starting to get into this fall, winter months when things kind of slow down. But with Thanksgiving probably and the holidays to come, we'll probably still stay relatively busy on calls that come out. In regards to snowbirds, not many have been written because of snow. I wrote a couple during a flurry one time just to make kind of a point of it, but we're still writing warnings and such. So we'll see what the rest of the month and such brings for snow. In regards to person that was roaming around town that I mentioned in previous city council meetings, the person has now moved on to Buffalo. So no longer going to get any more calls on him. I don't think he'll be back or anything like that. But if he does, we'll figure it out and help him as much as we can if he does. So any questions or comments in regards to anything?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a request for council action, Mr. Justin Emery. I don't see him, so we'll move on to city council.
Park and Rec and City Council.
Park and Rec, union negotiations, Celebrate Montrose, Breakfast with Santa, and everything that went with that.
Had the council meeting, we had a special council meeting, the dual Park and Rec council meeting. No, that wasn't last month, sorry. Personnel and union negotiations.
Special council, personnel, union negotiations, wastewater commission, and a tour of the two wastewater plants at Annandale and Litchfield.
Tour of the Maple Lake Annandale facility, wastewater commission plant meeting, a fire department meeting, and city council. No, did not. Gone last month. Sorry.
Fire department.
Good evening, council and mayor. In your packet is the activity report for November. Very busy year so far. Total calls to date at the end of November, we were at 340. As of today, we're sitting at 352. Just to kind of put that in perspective, 20 years ago when I started, we were running anywhere between 120 and 150 calls. So we've gone up exponentially over the years. So it's keeping our guys busy. We did get the financing and everything approved for our SCBAs. We have the SCBAs in hand. We're waiting to do in-service training on them next week, and then we'll probably still practice with them before actually putting them on the trucks. So looking forward to getting that rocking and rolling as well. So acknowledgement, I'll skip the first one and I'll bring that one up later. Public Works for assisting us with getting the bell in and out and then back out again. We did some stenciling on it and stuff kind of to revive the old bell. So thanks to the Public Works guys for helping us get that inside so we could get that done. Any questions on the activity report? Next item, accept the resignation of Evan Keiko from the Montrose Fire Department effective 11/17 of 23. Evan served with us for 6 months, 1 week, and 2 days. He actually picked up and moved to Alaska, so that's where he's at now. So
Suppose that's not within the 10-minute response time.
he'd have to drive pretty fast.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Evan Keiko from the Montrose Fire Department effective 11/17/2023.
And then this isn't on the agenda, but I'm wondering if I could.
Do I have a second for that?
Oh, sorry.
You have a second.
Further discussion? I'll vote aye. Mr. Solars? Aye. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Next item, it's not on the agenda, but I'm wondering if I can just get permission to burn the brush pile again when we get snow. I have to wait until we have at least 3 inches of snow because it's pretty dry out right now. We're looking at probably doing it after tree collection, I would guess, would probably be the most opportune time to do it if we get snow by then. If not, we're going to have to figure out something else to do in the meantime, and I'll work with Dan on that, but just kind of like a thing that I can use to have the permission to do it as we usually do, so.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the burn pile when and if we get snow.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
And we always take the appropriate precautions depending on the weather and stuff like that, so. The reason why we have to bring it up to you guys is because there is no open burning allowed within the city, so it's a violation of the ordinance. So we get your guys' approval for it. It's always supervised by me and a public works guy or two or five or who's ever driving around and stuff, so it's usually well watched.
Any other discussion? Mr. Solars? Aye. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. Otto?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin.
Personnel Committee.
Mayor and council, included in the packet for consideration for approval tonight is the newest local number 49 union agreement. This will be good from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2026. This was negotiated between the union and Mayor Moyna and Councilmember Solars.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 49 agreement from January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
Can you give like a little overview of it? What exactly are the changes?
So in the contract, there was some language cleanup of removing AFL-CIO from the agreement. They're no longer affiliated. Keep going down the list here. Where's my next page? There is the change in employee vacation time. It changes some of the years. We changed the number of weeks did not change, but the number of years at which they incur those weeks of vacation changes. We added language that incorporates the safe and sick leave that was mandated from the state government. I believe our policy encompasses that, so we didn't have to add anything other than the language for the state. We have insurance. There'll be a cost sharing on the insurance, a 5% from the employee, which is an increase from 0% in past contracts. There is an additional floating holiday, and recognizing Juneteenth as that is now a federal holiday. Here's my next one here. Increase in a allowance for boots and winter gear for employees. And there was some changes to the wage and classification rates, as well as changes to increase the COLA and the potential for 3.5% wage increase for successful annual performance review. And then performance reviews are done biannually. Did I catch everything there?
Yeah, I think so.
What is the increase for COLA?
It went from 5 to 6%.
Where did you get that information? Just wondering. Because currently, right now, seniors only get like 3.2%.
I don't
know it's
think
a
we
difference,
can.
but-
It is a difference, but I don't think that we could base what we do off the federal government, considering they can't even pass a budget.
Good point.
Sorry if I insult anybody in the federal government.
The extra floating holiday, is that determined like when or how or what it is?
It's just an extra day off for the employees if they want to use.
Like a birthday or something to that effect?
Birthday, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, any day that they so choose that they want to use the extra holiday for, they can.
Do they have to use it together, or they just choose?
It has to have prior approval, I believe, from their
Individually though,
supervisor.
right?
Yes, it's not all, everybody, yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Yeah. I just want to make a comment, and I commented on this before when we met a week ago, that I wish it would have been, you guys would have met with the union a little bit sooner, you know, instead, and giving the council a little bit more time to look over this contract and maybe go back with, you know, kind of the negotiation process. Because in my opinion, three of us didn't really get a chance to have that discussion, because you guys negotiated this contract. You came back with us pretty much in agreement that, you know, the 49ers were pretty much in the understanding that you guys had already agreed to it, so it was pretty hard for us to have conversation and maybe go back and negotiate, because they have a potential of a 9.5% pay increase. And with that, in my opinion, again, it's not that I don't appreciate everything that they do, but in years past, our contracts have always been equal. I've negotiated multiple contracts with both unions, and the current ASME contract is only a 4.5% increase in pay, and the administrative contract is only a 5%. And we kind of like to keep them equal, and this is a potential 9.5% increase. And again, this is all just my opinion, that it's not fair. It's just not fair. And it causes a lot of mixed feelings, I guess, maybe within all of the two unions and the non-union person. So that's just some of my thoughts.
And as far as the other union goes, they have their chance to negotiate all of their terms and their contract, which may not represent the people that are in those seats now, but was negotiated by past people that were in those positions. And their contract comes due, I believe, next year. And they'll have their fair say in it, because they're not in the same year.
Oh, no, I get that, but this contract was negotiated, when was this last negotiated? The ASME contract, or the 49er contract? 2 years ago? And they were at a 7% pay increase? And it was still, you know?
I think we had our opener in 2021, I want to say, for insurance and wages. only.
2021, they got their increase. And again, I'm not saying that they shouldn't get increases. What I'm saying is it should be, you know, a little bit more equal, because right now it's like not even close. So,
I'm fairly confident when the ASME one comes due that they will ask for, if not the same, a very similar contract.
I don't disagree with that whatsoever, because I know the people in that contract, and I know they're gonna come back, and because that's what they've always wanted, was to be, everything would be fair. And it just, in these last couple of years, it just hasn't been.
The market has changed significantly in 3 years.
Oh, I understand that. But even when it was, back when it was negotiated in 2021, it wasn't fair by multiple percentages. So, and I just really feel that we should have had, I don't think with the contract, I think the contract should have been looked at earlier in the year, so that the city would have been a little bit more prepared when they went into the first meeting of negotiations, and then given the whole council a chance to actually have discussion, and I don't feel that we were all a part of that discussion. That's all I have. for now.
Yeah, I would, to your point, Michelle, I don't think it's a bad idea. Months prior, we all get together and, or whoever's in the council to look at the contracts and devise a plan for the two that are gonna be having those contract discussions. Don't see an issue with that.
Yep. Yep, because this contract started the end of November. The following week, we all met, and the following week, we had to approve it, or potentially approve it, or whatever. And it just should have, I mean, it shows good faith too, and like, we're putting the effort into negotiating this contract, instead of going into it. I think it would have only been fair to the people that are involved in this contract, to put a little effort into it, to have a little discussion, and like I mentioned last Monday, in my opinion, it just wasn't there, so.
You're talking about amongst the council, the discussion.
Right.
Because in
I mean,
those
we
meetings, the
had 5
discussion was
days.
there.
Well, you guys went into a meeting the end of November,
We went in the beginning of November and then met again in the middle of November.
and then brought it to us December 4th.
Yes, after the bargaining unit met, because if they had not met and approved it, then we were not anywhere on it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is from that meeting, it sounded like you guys pretty much approved it, and the rest of us really didn't have a chance to, because we don't want to go back to them and say, you guys in return kind of agreed to this contract, and how's it going to look for all of us to go back and say, let's start all over, and maybe,
You've been in those meetings, like you said, and.
And I started
when
them
you-
6 months prior to.
When you walk out of those meetings,
Mm-hmm.
you have an agreement in place when you're done with the union. You have a tentative agreement that's lined up, not I'll call you and let you know if it's a good idea.
No, when I went into those meetings before, and I have a member here who's also been into the meetings, we talked to the council first and said, hey, what are you guys looking at? What are you thinking? We know what they went to 2 years ago. They're probably gonna bring that same stuff up. What is your guys' opinions on this? And we never got that. So, and we're not gonna get it because we're here now to make the decision.
I don't know when you were involved in those. You never had those discussions with me back when you led the meetings.
Yep. And we also sent out emails in regards to stuff too, so. That's okay. We can go ahead.
Is there any other discussion on the union contract? None? Okay, I will vote aye. Mr. Solars? Aye. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Otto?
Nope.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. Park and Rec.
Good evening, Council and Mr. Mayor. On the agenda for Parks and Rec, we have two sections for meeting minutes, one from October, one from November, just due to timeliness with our secretary and prior engagements. So those are page 74 through 76, our kind of standard meeting notes. And then we have our Halloween decorating contest awards. So we have our third place, the Jacobson family. Are they here? Come on. And then we have the Don Field. Am I saying that correctly? No. No? And then we have first place, John. Yeah, excellent displays for Halloween. This evening we've even started for our holiday decorating, and I think in my section alone we had 43. So we're going to be getting those addresses out, getting a map up and a survey, and so the community can vote for their favorite holiday decorating contest or holiday house. That brings us to Park and Rec's bylaws proposed changes. There is a correction. Didn't make the deadline on Friday. On page 78, that's section 6. At the behest of our co-chair, we would like to add in front of the first instead of first city council appointed liaison. That was at the behest of our commission.
Why wasn't that added at your meeting last week?
At our meeting last week?
Yeah. When you guys discussed the bylaws.
When we discussed the bylaws, we just felt like we needed some changes, additional changes besides going from the avenue from just kind of changing our recreational programming. We want to have the opportunity to, if we get more citizens incorporated into our Parks and Rec, which is our overlying goal, we want to have time for everyone to have a say. So just kind of expediting the process for order and opportunity for individuals to speak on things that they are concerned about.
My concern with adding the word first is that
Sure.
that was not, if you're saying that was added after your guys' meeting or after your deadline, right?
Yeah, it was still kind of in the drafting process of kind of what we wanted our bylaws. Is that going kind of outside of the scope that should have been added, and in that capacity is kind of.
Other than adding the first city council appointed liaison, the word first not being in this draft, was having that in there already approved by the Park and Rec.
Well, we had that conversation during the meeting. We didn't have necessarily a motion to kind of specifically. I want to say, I'm sorry, I'm kind of round talking, but yeah.
So my understanding was they did do that during the meeting. I sent a draft to Josh on Friday. He sent it back to me saying it was approved, but he had one of the other commission members put their eyes on it, and she recognized that word wasn't added and should have been added for the meeting. So my belief is that it was approved in the meeting.
Because that was discussed during that
Correct.
round table discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So it was originally in the
Okay,
discussion.
I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't things being added after the fact without all of them being aware.
Yep. Unfortunately, we're still at 3 commission members. So, if anyone wants to join the Parks and Rec Commission, it's kind of a running joke. I asked at the meeting, but yeah.
You want us to approve that, correct?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the Park and Rec's bylaws proposed changes.
I will second.
Further discussion.
Thank you.
I'll vote aye, Mr. Solars.
Aye.
Mr. Paradise.
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Ms. Otto.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
And then you will find some additions to the community garden rules as well for final review. This would be weed barriers and alternative mulches, and some other slight language changes in garden neglect and weed control and garden closing date. So we've made those changes for kind of ease of those senior members that continuously rent out a plot. Obviously, once you get up to 70 plus, I'm at 33 and my knees and back are screaming right now. So we just want to have those members in the community that are willing to pay for a plot. They have that plot prepared in a manner in order to alleviate themselves, kind of working themselves in the summer for weeds and in the fall. We're kind of also associating that in our last meeting. We had a kind of a youth-based community assistance program. That's now since kind of switched into like an all-around where from garden plots to, you have sidewalks with elderly individuals, trying to get youth out there, engaging with elderly and kind of giving back. So that's kind of crossing into these community garden plot rules and kind of something to look forward to from Parks and Rec moving forward, kind of some other assistance and community-based programming.
So with this weed barrier and allowing for the plastics to stay in there, who's in charge of removing it if that person doesn't come back? Like, I know that it's in there, like they're renewing it and everything, but things happen in life. What happens?
They would still be responsible for cleaning out their plot at the end of the year, just at garden closing. So if they're not going to be renting that plot again,
But I'm saying let's say they want to, something happens, they move out of town, whatever it be. Who's in charge of now cleaning up that plot?
I think it would be Public Works, and then Dan has my number if he needs help.
I will say I do like the idea of the youth initiative that's starting up. I know it's in its infancy. It'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah.
And it may make things easier for elderly and people that cannot get out to take care of certain things around their houses or at the community gardens.
So I would be looking for approval of these community rule changes.
I'll make a motion to adopt the community garden rules updated December 2023.
I will second.
Further discussion.
So just for clarification, the Park Commission knows my feelings on this. So since this is a community garden, which is used by the community, and if I ask these guys the same thing, and when you have the community gardens, I research and I look at other communities. At the end of the year, the garden is clean, you know, because it's in the community. Everybody uses these parks. Everybody goes to them. It's totally different if you're in your own property or in your own yard. I get that. But so now, throughout the whole year, we're going to see plastic out in the parks. We're going to see cardboard in the parks just randomly. And like David said, let's just say, I'm going to use me, because I have, you know, if I have a garden out there and I want to put plastic out there and I move, I may have paid for the plot here in November, but let's just say I move in February. Dan and his crew are now responsible for cleaning that up, right? Because if I left plastic there and I paid for the plot
You've also paid for the plot.
and I moved,
Yeah.
but now I moved.
Feel free. The
Right.
plot is paid for.
But Dan is now responsible for getting his guys to go clean up all that mess that I left there, is what I'm clarifying.
Well, you're allowed, so to clarify, it's not cardboard and plastic in all the parks. It is in one location.
It's in a couple locations.
Community gardens are in more than one location?
No, the plastic and the cardboard.
Are allowed in the community gardens, not the parks.
Right.
So how is that more than one location?
My question then is, in the community garden, if I leave plastic and cardboard there,
Yes.
and I paid for the plot, but I moved before the garden season comes up, Dan and his crew are now responsible for cleaning that up.
I'm pretty sure the agreement was that Dan and his crew, or possibly a member of Park and Rec, would clean it. And at that point, we've collected $100 minimum. I think we can cover that. I mean,
What could we do to get them to come back and clean up? Like, we had somebody that moved to Alaska. Like, if they moved and left plastic, I'm curious, what do we?
We don't allow that.
If they've got right. Well, my concern looking at it was, it says if the cardboard can't be broken down, but you get a wet day, all of a sudden that cardboard is broken down and all over the place.
Yeah, it's flying throughout the parks, and again, Dan and his crew are responsible for cleaning that up. That's not fair to them. I mean, I know how much Dan loves the community gardens. You know?
I'm with you. I think if we're gonna have a community garden, everybody's paying to be a part of that community garden. Everybody needs to be cleaning up after themselves. I don't think that's on Public Works to do, to be honest. I just,
But that's the question of what happens if somebody moves away and they didn't pick up their plastic that they
Well,
nailed down.
then you got the $100.
You got the $100.
But
deposit.
then if you just go back to.
Yeah, I get it. We're gonna run around in circles here on this.
Just
But,
keep the bylaws or the rules the way they were without the changes to where each individual cleans up their plot. Just like it is in every community here in Wright County. Because trust me, I took pictures of other gardens and looked at them. And I know people say we're not, we're Montrose and we can be different, but that's right on the corner. That garden is right on the corner. And
I'm all for the personal responsibility, but, I mean, again, what if somebody, God forbid, passes away? I mean, somebody's gonna have to clean it up no matter what, whether it be us or one of their family members, but again, we have the $100 deposit to cover for that. I get what you're saying.
But what about the people that are paying and cleaning it up? That's more of them than there is of this. So we're gonna just let everybody else who is responsible and whatnot have to look at this? Or the surrounding, property owners have to deal with cardboard that's flying around, because that was an issue this year.
Again, I understand what you're saying.
But
You know,
because
but
we
I,
had $100.
I understand, no, but I also understand the need or the want to add these barriers for, like you said.
that part I'm fine with. The adding of the barriers. It needs to be removed though, is my thing. Because again, I don't want a situation where you have Public Works spending their time going out there to cleaning it all up when plenty of other projects for them to try and get done on a day-by-day basis, If we want to put a bylaw in there for, these are acceptable to use, but need to be, removed at the completion, I'm fine with that.
At the completion of, I think we have it right now, October 31st.
Yeah.
To go back to what it
But
originally was
who's
then.
policing that then?
The same as it's always been, the Park and Rec and Public Works.
If we can't police it, then why do we have a community garden?
I'm just saying.
If we can't be responsible for things, then we shouldn't have a community garden at the end of the day. It's causing way more stress to this Park and Rec department, to Public Works,
One way or
to
another,
staff.
Public Works is doing something here, whether it's going out and cleaning something up or going out and making sure everybody cleans up their stuff. So no matter what, you've got Public
No,
Works doing something.
This year they made the group follow through with cleaning up.
Okay.
So that's just what, you go out there at the end of the season, October 31st, November 1st, whatever it is, be responsible and clean up your mess. It's that simple.
Danny, how many?
We're gonna take sorry.
No, you're
David.
good.
We're gonna take later in the meeting, a resignation of a Public Works guy. We're down one. We don't want to add to what work they already have, because we already know how much they love it out there.
Well, I don't think that's the plan, is to add to it necessarily, but you have to have a backup in case things do not happen. And so the backup is, you lose your $100, and somebody from Public Works or from Park and Rec goes out and does it. I mean, personally, I'll go out there and do it if you want to give me half of the $100.
No, you made the rule.
Well, I'm just saying.
No.
No, you're saying that we can't leave these things there because somebody might have to clean them up.
No, what I'm saying is we shouldn't leave them there, because we should keep our parks clean. And, when people come into your park, because we're gonna develop, we have a lot of people out at that park for soccer and all of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
We want our parks clean. We don't
Correct.
want to leave this, and at the end of the day, go to all the bigger cities.
But this is also coming from Park and Rec, taking way more time than it ever should.
Because it came back and, I know.
I mean, I can,
I would say from a city standpoint, we've had one complaint in the 3 years that I've been here about anything at that public park.
It's probably me.
From one resident. That's it, in 3 years. Nobody's ever complained about plastic, nobody's ever complained about cardboard. Except
So-
for one person in 3 years.
Is that one person a city resident or outside the city?
They are, we have one person outside the city and one person in the city.
Is there a lot of people that want to use these weed barriers and leave them up year-round?
I think there's two specific plots where that was kind of the point of contention. One was a solid plastic barrier, and the other one was like kind of the sporadic cardboard. And then that was just kind of leveled with rock. So like in the summer months here, it is very useful, so we don't get those knee-high, chest-high thistles that kind of go in that construction soil that really come up pretty aggressively. So that was our thought process, and I think both of those were in, I know for one plot for sure was a senior citizen.
But they primarily use them in the summertime, right? They don't leave, because it's just kind of ambiguous of leaving it, that they can leave the plastic out there all year long.
They are.
That's how I'm
That is
reading this.
That's how
That
it's
is-
in there.
Yeah, if it's in good quality condition, like a lot of like even outside of community gardens, regular garden practices, it's fabric filter or fabric plastic. It usually has kind of a 2-3 year shelf life, kind of depending on winter and weather. Majority of the time they're pre-cut out holes or even self-cut out holes, and then it's just plotting and planting. And most of the time the weed barrier is very durable and stands up well. Cardboard was the main issue of the one, and we just had rocks placed on them because it was just kind of just set on the surface, not really kind of tacked down or anything. So that was at the mercy of the wind.
And last year, that person that had the cardboard they were allowed to leave that cardboard last year. So when this year came about, they then didn't want to clean up that spot and they took a new spot. So it was left and they just rented out a new spot, a new plot. And this year they were reminded that they had to clean it up, and at the end of the year, it's clean. There's no cardboard. And they filled up all their holes and gaps. So if they can understand it, I can do whatever we want to do, but
I mean, I'm pretty sure there wasn't a rule about keeping cardboard there last year, so if it
no,
was left there,
it was to clean up your plots.
correct.
And they did. No.
You
There
said
was
they
a rule.
didn't last year.
Correct.
So then in my mind, from the last update I had, being on Park and Rec at the time, last update I had from Public Works was they were all cleaned out. That was the official word.
I believe our, Christie talked to the cardboard people in regards to, and then this year, they moved plots because they didn't want to clean up the mess they left from last year.
They were all cleaned up in 2022, Public Works signed off on them in the spring of 2023. They requested to go to a different plot. Their plot from 2022 was cleaned up and it was free of cardboard.
And they didn't want to clean up the rest.
So you're saying that you don't want to have weed barriers
All year.
at all?
No,
Or that they just
They remove it
remove the weed barrier on
October.
after maybe November 1st so they can get candy, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Remove
the
the weed
issue,
barrier after the growing season.
the issue you're gonna run into is now you get into plastics and fabrics, okay? Taking those out and putting them back down is actually more detrimental to those plastics and fabrics than just leaving them there. I understand the concern with cardboard, I do, because we don't want that blowing all over town. But once you put down the plastic or the fabric weed barrier, as long as it's still in good condition, there is no harm in having it there. It's tacked down. It's not going anywhere.
It's tacked on by rocks throughout the whole garden. And again, like I
Unless they tack
said,
it down with actual
Stakes.
stakes,
they're not. It's rocks. It's big boulders.
well, I don't think those are going anywhere. And normally by now, they'd be under snow and nobody'd be seeing them anyways. I
Why
understand the
can't we just
cardboard
make the
thing.
park look nice at the end of the growing season? But we can go to a vote.
can we get rid of the cardboard piece?
That's kind of where I was.
Just leave the plastic and the fabric and get rid of the cardboard.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
that's kind of where I'm at too.
Well, the cardboard has an easier way of blowing away too.
It does.
Okay, then I'll amend my motion to accept the garden rules updated December 2023 with removing the use of cardboard as a weed barrier.
Can we add in, as far as securing the weed barriers, something other than rocks?
Sure.
Whether it be,
And they must secure their weed barrier with stakes and/or garden appropriate.
yes,
Materials.
yep.
Yeah.
Can we keep it that they clean it up October 31st?
I'm not the plant guy. I don't know if that's good or bad to remove that stuff, like Toby
I
said.
can't grow dirt, so, I mean,
So it's like the long,
I have all that stuff out there. I've been gardening out there for years. It's removed. And we retill it, put fresh mulch in it, get it ready for the next year. So I'm okay if you guys want to keep the barriers in there as long as it's removed October 31st.
Well, I do have one question. So how nitpicky would you like everybody to be about everybody's garden plots out there during this growing season?
I mean, whatever you want it to be. I'm one of them people who, the weeds get out of control. I am. So if you need to come at me, come at me.
Well, that's
You
what,
know?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
But at the end of the year, all I ask is that the park is clean. And
Yeah,
that
but
there
you're-
is no possibility of Park and Rec having, or I'm sorry, Public Works having to go out there and clean that. Because they're already out there cleaning up the weeds from everybody anyway, you know? We're already putting a lot on them. They shouldn't have to go picking up all these rock or whatever.
the reason I ask is that you're saying that people are out there looking at these things and you're concerned that the parks are gonna look horrible, but then you just said you're one of the ones that sits there
I
and
said
lets
I
the
could
weeds
be.
grow.
I can be, yep.
So,
And then I went out there and it's cleaned up.
well, yeah, it's past gardening season.
Well, even during the gardening season, but anyway.
Jess, do I need a second for my amendment?
Sure.
I'll second.
Thanks, Sam. Any other discussion on that?
Are we amending it to the 31st? October?
I think you're the plant guy, aren't you?
yeah, technically.
Is it good or bad to leave the plastic or the barriers out there?
Depends, and it's complicated.
As this conversation
As
turned
this
out to be.
conversation has, yeah. So, I would say, if it's plastic fabrics in good condition, overwintering them, it shouldn't be an issue. I mean, it's going to be case by case on weather the entire time. We could get another drought in the summer. It could torch the plastic, and then it could snap, freeze, and then crumble plastic, potentially. We could go from 98 and drop to negative 40. It's happened once before, not in this state, but so I think it is a beneficial thing to have out there because most gardeners will utilize it in some capacity. I do understand that there's a viable amount of concern about stuff blowing around, but we kind of live out in a wind tunnel. Anytime Randy's goes and collects garbage, what's floating around? It's a dime a piece. There's going to be stuff floating around no matter what. That's the world we live in, unfortunately. There's litter everywhere. I would say in the capacity of for the gardens out there, I mean, in my mind, I work from home. If it becomes a nuisance, I live 10 minutes away. I don't care. I'll go take care of it, man. It's not like we have 150 plots out there. It's 2 plots. We're checking on them periodically. If they get too wily, we'll make the distinction kind of on a case by case because do we need 83-year-olds running out there doing tarping or doing their fabric barrier in their community garden all throughout the summer? No. If they're going to be renting the same plot next year and it's in good condition and it's going to survive and it's not going to be a detriment, fine. Like, it helps more than it hurts in my mind because you're cutting down the seed bank on all those noxious weeds that do. Because, I mean, that spot is like commercial clay pretty much underneath it. So the seed bank in there is already full of all sorts of wonderful noxious weeds that I'm sure the Department of Ag for Minnesota would just say 4D, all of it. So in my mind, keeping that garden spot and that seed bank of noxious weeds lower helps everyone. Yeah, and then it's just kind of periodically checking on it if we're going to be noticing. It's, like I said, I don't live too far away from the community gardens. Periodically checking it through the growing season. Has it been bad? Have I lopped some thistles here and there? Yeah, it's going to be every garden pretty much in Minnesota all along here. So that's where I'm at.
I honestly, I don't care, as long as it's not cardboard and it's tied down the appropriate way, not with rocks and sticks or
Sure.
logs, you know.
Stake down.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion on this? I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto?
Nope.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
No.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-2.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you. City engineer.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. In your packet, I have item number 1 that I have for you. It pertains to the 2021 Downtown Improvement Project Phase 2 final pay application and change order. Excuse me. Pay application can be found on page 87 of your packet. It is in the amount of $220,674.37. This, the change order is to reconcile the work completed for the structure rehabs in the mill and overlay area. The change order can be found on page 92. But while we were under construction, it became apparent that there was sinkholes, and they were a result of structural compromisation of the catch basins throughout the project area. As a result, to protect the city's investment, city staff and engineering staff agreed that the work needed to be done to protect that investment. When the catch basins work was started, then large amounts of subsurface concrete was found to be around the catch basins, and that also needed to be removed to avoid any mounding of the street after construction was completed. So the change order for the structure rehabilitations is in the amount of $65,700.68. There was also an overrun of some quantities on the project, including extra work that the city requested for about half a block of mill and overlay and patching on Charity Lane. More tree removals than required than anticipated, more street patching required than anticipated on First Street North, and additional concrete and drainage improvements to Carver Field. So this change order also reconciles the final contract amount to the final constructed quantities for an additional $67,627.52. So this will include compensation for all work included on the project, and it would close out the project for final payment on that.
So they're fully done out there. There's no properties or yards that still need to be fixed. Everything is completed, tied up, rectified, and all done with.
Correct. There is one item of warranty work that will be completed next spring, which will be, there's a tripping hazard on some concrete over there at the intersection of First Street North and Center Avenue North. But I have had confirmation from the contractor that that is going to be completed in the spring. So.
What if they don't show up?
Thank you.
I guess that'd be my question is what?
It's a warranty item. So they're obligated to under their contractor's warranty.
Okay.
Any questions? Other questions?
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the final pay application number 9 and change order number 2 for a total of $220,674.37.
I'll second.
Further discussion. Mr. Solars? Aye. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. Otto?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Motion passes 5-0. Highway 12 lighting.
Yes. So the second item in your packet on page 94 is a memo pertaining to the Trunk Highway 12 lighting improvements planned for inclusion in the MnDOT's Urban Overlay and ADA Improvement Project planned for construction in 2025. City and engineering staff discussed the potential opportunity for the lighting to incorporate decorative lighting improvements in lieu of the MnDOT standard lighting if council desires. This memo was prepared to provide an overview of the differences between the MnDOT standard lighting and the decorative lighting options. On page 2 of the memo, we give an estimated cost of $6,250 per light for the MnDOT standard light option. Page 3 gives a range of $7,500 to $11,000 per light for the decorative lighting option. The decorative lighting option would include pole accessories, including double banner arms, wreath brackets, and a flag pole holder. Pictures of each light or example lights are given in the memo. There is an additional cost incorporated with the lighting improvements to replace the wiring and cabinets for the lights at an estimated cost of $125,000. If the city would like to include receptacles with the lights, that cost is increased to approximately $225,000. So on the final page of the memo, we give a summary of the different options. MnDOT standard lighting with and without receptacles, decorative lighting with and without receptacles.
What are these garbage cans made of that they're worth $100,000?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I looked, when I was reading through this, and I go, $100,000 for garbage cans. What are they made of?
It costs a lot of, I can't tell you. They're basically, it's what they're going for. It's where the market's at right now, and along with the work that is included with installing the new wire in the cabinets and the conduit involved with the lighting, I understand it is a huge financial undertaking.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to look at lights, and I think that Highway 12 needs additional lighting because it's pretty dark at night out there. I feel like Danny could go out and purchase those green garbage cans for $50 a piece, and the ones that have the dog poop holders, and we'd be fine and not have to spend $100,000 for garbage cans. But does everybody want to go through with the lighting, I guess?
So I just want to make this clear to the council, they are coming through in a year and they are doing some Highway 12 work. We all know this, right? And our cabinets that run the lights need to be replaced, no doubt about it. This is the option to stay with the same poles you got and switch them to LED tops. And we'll have to put the banners and everything back on them and strap them to them and so on and so forth. Or you go with decorative, where all of it's on there already, which will be LED, but this is, nothing's cheap. Spencer, again, remind me, is MnDOT not kicking in something toward this?
Yes, they actually are kicking in 25% of this cost.
25% of this cost is paid
And
by
that,
MnDOT.
I guess I should clarify, that would be 25% of what the MnDOT standard lighting cost would be. So it wouldn't be above and beyond that.
So right now is your option to upgrade your lights if you want to upgrade them, or you just keep standard and they get switched to LED. That's pretty much what it's asking. But you're gonna get new poles and it's gonna be LED. We ain't adding poles here. We're switching out the ones that I have banners and lights on them now. We looked into adding poles, yeah, that was a no-go. So, that's what this is asking for. Do you want to stay with standard? Or do you want a decorative?
I think if MnDOT is gonna be contributing $68-ish thousand, $70,000, we could go for the decorative ones and have the flags and the banner holders. I'm out on the receptacle piece, but.
What I'm saying by receptacles, if you want your lights lit, we need receptacles. So if you want your Christmas lights lit, we need receptacles on the pole.
So it's an electrical outlet.
Huh?
It's an electrical outlet.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So.
It's an electrical outlet added to every single pole, up high enough to plug your Christmas lights in. That's what it's about.
So that's what,
But it's an extra,
$4,000 basically to.
Yeah, I think they're gonna, Spencer, correct me if I'm wrong, this is gonna be running all new wire, correct?
Correct.
This is gonna be running all new wire along the whole stretch of 12, which anytime you get M&P involved or anybody boring wire, it's not cheap. Because you're not gonna use old wire for new poles, you're gonna run everything brand new.
Yeah, I don't think the question's on the wiring, it just,
It's just option we wanted to throw by you. Right now, if you wanted to upgrade to make it look nice on the poles you have, right now would be the time. If you want to keep them the same, keep them the same. It's the council's option. We do, as staff recommend, for sure replacing the two cabinets because they are in dire need of a replacement. So what I mean by cabinets is there's two cabinets that run these 25 lights. Each light has its own breaker. These cabinets are falling apart. First of all, they weren't made out of stainless the first time, so there's a whole nother factor. Which, Spencer, these will be made out of stainless cabinets?
I will confirm that.
So they take a lot of salt and snow, and, you know, if these cabinets go down, there ain't gonna be no lights. Plain and simple. So for sure, cabinets, and rest is up to the council. That's my recommendation.
regular lights or decorative lights?
If I can't get snow, I want decorative lights.
We're gonna get like 30 feet of snow and it's gonna be all your fault.
I know, right?
Would we hang flags up on them and,
What was that?
so we would, if we got the decorative ones, we would hang stuff on them, right? Flags and banners?
Right, I mean, we would hang like we do now. I mean, even if you went with MnDOT poles, we could hang stuff. These brackets are built onto the poles already. If you go with MnDOT ones, we gotta put the strapping on and all that stuff. So you're gonna see the straps, everything's gonna stay. These ones are just, they're built in to have banners and flags and so on and so forth. Not necessarily gonna be those kind, but that's, I mean, you're gonna have
That was
more
just-
options
Yeah, that was
to
just an
pick
option.
from, but
That was part of the last part of the memo, is if you do want to proceed with the decorative option, we recommend that, council designate either members of council or staff to work with engineering staff to review, what the design should look like on these lights. So we can go over the different options included in the poles, arms, fixtures, and so forth.
So, and just, I'm questioning, end of the day, it's $30,000 to $120,000, so we don't have to see straps on poles.
yeah, I mean, they're a little fancier, like somewhat like the lights you added downtown here, you know, I mean, that kind of style. You're gonna go from, I don't know if they're stainless, but to like a black pole, decorative pole. I mean, nothing's cheap. You want it to look nice, you're gonna pay more money. You want it to look MnDOT standard, we can do that. I mean, it's up to you guys.
I just want lighting.
So MnDOT standard ones,
Yes.
okay? With or without the outlet receptacles?
Christmas lights, yes. With receptacle.
Do you need them to make a motion and
I'm
then,
just making sure everybody's on the
The
same.
the receptacle part can ask, we add that extra $100,000, that's, MnDOT's not covering that 25% there, are they?
We're just getting 70,000 from them, period, right?
Yeah.
Approximately what, yeah, it's between.
It's a little more than that, but.
Yep.
Roughly 70,000. I mean, MnDOT paying for the receptacles or not? That's basically what we're asking ourselves.
Do you hear a motion on any of this?
I mean, what's the usage like with receptacles?
Lights?
So, 2 months out of the year, or are we using it more? I'm not against lights, because I went out for multiple years and looked at everybody's lights. I appreciate the lights. I'm just trying to rationalize $100,000. It makes it easier with the 70 coming from MnDOT, but that 70 also still comes if we don't go with receptacles.
I also like looking at it where I only paid $221,000 for the lights without the receptacles.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion. We go with the MnDOT standard lighting without receptacles for $281,250.
I will second.
Further discussion?
just remind you, we can still hang your Christmas lights, they just won't light. So,
What would the point be?
well, you can see them during the day, or we just won't do lights, we'll do banners or something.
There you go,
I
just
don't
do
know.
banners.
I
I'm
don't
good
want
with
you guys to
banners.
ask and say, how come you guys didn't put up the Christmas lights? Well, they don't light, so why put them up? Without the receptacles, we will not be putting Christmas lights up on Highway 12.
Banners are good.
Okay,
I'll approve you get some seasonal banners.
okay. We don't mind not having to hang lights, trust me.
Any other discussion?
I gotta keep quiet today. I gotta take this off.
I'll vote aye. Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Ms. Otto?
No.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1 for the new lighting.
Great. That's the direction we will proceed. Last update is for the wastewater treatment facility. Essentially, the design is still underway, and we are waiting to hear back from the MPCA on preliminary effluent level limits. So, and I do have actually do have one more update. So the north side, or North Ridge 6th edition construction has been completed for 2023 and will resume in 2024. So all the pipe work is completed, and I believe all the grading, gravel base is up to, or all the grading is up to a gravel base right now, and they did install a snowplow turnaround over there too. So that, are there any questions?
Questions for Spencer? Thank you. Public Works.
Mayor, Council, number one on your item under Public Works is, I just want you guys to acknowledge, or I want to acknowledge the complete staff here. We received a annual award for our wastewater treatment facility operational award. One of 40 Class B plants in the state that got the award. So I just want to acknowledge complete staff, our operators, and anybody that has to do with anything with that wastewater plant.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Again, one of 40 plants, and there's a lot more than 40 plants, so one of 40 that got the award, so it's pretty good.
Does it come with a grant to build a new one?
Right?
Any questions or anything on that?
Oh, great work, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to acknowledge all the guys, operators, streets. I mean, we all have a hand in that operation of that plant, so it's not just the operators here. So, number two under Public Works, it's just, it was a 4-week, survey out on Clementa with our speed sign, and it's not good. I mean, everybody's breaking the speed limit out there. So, you're averaging about 83 to 87% of people speeding on Clementa.
Who lives out that way?
Huh?
Who lives out that direction?
There's a few out there.
Just, I know.
I can tell you none of these speeds are mine.
Just something for you guys to look at. You know, I know we're talking about retiring and doing some things out there. We might want to revisit, some speed variations out there later, but, it's just information gathering thing since you bought that speed sign. I mean, the bar graph, I don't know if you can go to that page, Christie, the, page 101. It didn't really show up that well on there. But if you look at it, 30 miles an hour out there, everybody's going over 30, let's just be honest. We've even had, if you look at
finally
the
seen
high
the radar.
reports, what is our highest speed out there? Max speed 65 miles an hour, so. In a 30, I would think Wright County should probably, is he still in here? Patrol that a little bit more? Okay.
We pass this information on to them?
We can. We already kind of did.
I did talk to
Right.
Officer Cayley, is that his last name? Yeah, about this, and did inform him that we've been looking at speeds and that Clementa was a problem.
Can we share with them the graph and the gathered information?
Yeah, these are all saved to, I got them all on electronic file anytime they want to view them. Everything we collect on there is saved to our server. So anytime you guys want to view this stuff, it's great reading. So come on up to City Hall or email me a request. I could give it to you pretty quickly.
Can this information be used as part of a speed study?
I'm assuming, but I guess you'd have to talk
I'm
to
assuming
Wright
they gotta come and
County.
do their own,
Yeah.
because you gotta pay them to do it, so they're gonna wanna do it on
Yeah,
their
of
own.
course, you gotta pay
Do
them.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think they would accept your information, but I don't know for sure.
No, they want to get money,
That's not how
so,
government
Right.
works.
yeah.
Any questions on any of those two? It is retired for the winter because it is solar powered, so it'll be back out in the spring, moving around town. Surprisingly, nobody really messed with it, knock on wood, so. It works pretty well. Any questions?
Nope, great job, Danny.
Doing a great job not plowing, keep it up.
Yep.
No more snow.
Moving on to item 3, asking the city council to accept the resignation of Ryan Ross effective 12/11/23.
I will make that motion to accept the resignation of Ryan Ross, effective 12/11/23.
I will second.
Further discussion? I'll vote aye. Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Moving on to number 4, looking for the council to approve the hiring of a maintenance worker 1 to fill this position and/or a seasonal call-in snowplow driver.
So that my question on that is, would you be able to cover everything that's going on if you just got a seasonal plow driver? Or 2?
I can't really answer that. I mean, will we be able to cover this winter? Probably. Next summer without that full-time employee? I don't know.
No, right. It wouldn't be through the summer. I'm asking to see if the winter's not that busy.
Right,
Would you be
now-
able to get through the winter with a part-time help, on-call snowplow person? Or do you need somebody now, or can it wait 2 months, or, I'm just asking.
I'd like to hire somebody right away and get it out there. Obviously, the more guys, every time it snows out, doesn't mean everybody's gonna be here to run the equipment. You got guys that go on vacation, and they deserve their vacation. I hate denying vacation, even if it's in the winter, but, we try to work together, but with more employees, you got more coverage to make sure all the equipment's being ran. So,
Would you want to put a deadline on when to have an employee hired by or get seasonal help? Because my worry would be, you put the ad out there, we don't get anybody that meets the qualifications.
right, and that's
then-
kind of why I want to add the and/or, because let's say they come in and they're like, well, I'll plow for you this winter, but I'm gonna go back to my job. Because there's a lot of people laid off with CDLs right now, so.
Yep.
And we'll go through them, right, as staff here, the applications, so, can we get through with the seasonal as long as he responds every time we call him?
If we do a seasonal, should we make it more than 1, just for that reason?
I mean, we can, but let's see how many applications we got.
For
You act
sure.
like we're gonna get 50. I
Oh, I
mean,
know.
we could get 1.
Yeah, I don't know if we can give the blanket approval for either or. It would have to be one or the other, right?
Okay, well then I'd rather have
Yes.
you approve to hire a maintenance worker 1.
Yeah, let's do that, and if by the January meeting we haven't gotten anybody, we can try and find a temporary or seasonal person.
Okay. I'll make a motion to go out and hire a maintenance worker 1.
I will second.
Further discussion. I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Number 5, I don't really have updates, but if you have any questions.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Danny.
Old business, the city donations follow-up.
This was a question that came up at the very end of our meeting last time. I did pull that information. I believe Councilmember Solars has it. So donations we received in 2023 are from Grace Place, $1,835 for wood chips. Bolton and Mank, $2,000 for the fall event. Grace Place again, $1,500 for installing a swing set. And the Lions Club, $500 for a fall event. Any other donations were not requested or approved and were returned.
And that was from Delano Charitable Gambling, correct?
Yeah, through Grace Place. Yep.
Yeah.
Questions on that? Okay, go ahead.
So we did receive another,
They had the one total, sorry, under 2022, the 1835, when it was really 2023, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just making sure we didn't have anything come in that
There was
wasn't
one
approved
check
by
that was
council.
received and returned, because we had not requested it as the city, and there was no prior authorization to have that money or to spend it.
So they just randomly dropped off a check?
If you're talking about the Carver Field, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, the
Yes.
concessions
You
check.
can- Yeah, it was a $3,000 check because we were looking, I had requested possibly upgrading Carver Field concession stand. And Delano Charitable Gambling, which is also run through Grace Place, was willing to donate $3,000. We did not know where to put that within our general funds, so therefore it was returned, because we didn't go through with it. So if we can, they're willing to help us upgrade it, we just have to figure out how to fit it within our budget.
So the money, so the check was sent to us because you went to Grace Place and requested a donation? Is that my understanding?
Well, when we were talking about the Twins grant, we were also talking about updating the concession stand. So at that time, yes, it was, God, that was back in probably the beginning of the year, to see if there was a potential of working. I talked to the person that was in charge of that, saying, hey, if, when we look at upgrading Carver Field, and they were okay with helping us out with that. And talking with Michael, when we got that going, we didn't know where to put it or what to do with it, so it would go back to a discussion with council. So the check was given back.
Wouldn't that be coming more along the lines of this next year if it was going to happen, just because the Twins grant has not been applied for?
We were looking at applying for the Twins grant
Right.
back in January of last 2023.
Right.
So yes, so upgrading in 2023. But again, we didn't know where to put, how to get that money into the general fund, where it would go, how it would work, or anything, so therefore it was just put to a halt, and the check was given back.
Because I know, as far as Carver goes, we've had discussions about fence, field, dugouts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall ever upgrading.
And that, it was also in our capital improvement plan.
Well, no, I know.
So that's a part of the discussion too. It was back when actually Dwayne was still with us.
But we never discussed it on Park and Rec as co-chair. We never talked about upgrading that building.
Probably not.
Okay.
So like I said, then the discussion was just talked about, and since we didn't know what to do with it, how to go with it, we never really accepted the check.
Right. I'm just surprised it came in, because.
Well, because they're willing to help, but since
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't know what to do with it, we didn't accept it.
So money was solicited
Correct.
on behalf of the city without council approval? Is that what I'm understanding?
It was discussed, yes. And again, since we didn't know what to do, it wasn't really accepted. So we can look at it again for 2024.
Okay,
When we go for
I just want to
the
make sure that we're being very careful here, because,
Right,
I mean,
well, that's why it went back.
okay, well, just, going out and soliciting money without council approval, I mean, that could open us up for whatever the state wants to bring down on us,
Correct.
so, okay.
Is there anything else on the donations? Okay, new business, community center fee and use discussion. And after we are done with our discussion, there's an open forum request about this.
Yeah, there might be other people in the audience that also want to speak on this issue. Mayor and council, this issue came up. Staff is looking at doing some flooring and some sidewalk upgrades to the community center. Part of the problem is that the community center does not currently support itself with rentals, and we allocate a lot of days to community groups and nonprofit groups for free. So we wanted to discuss the fees overall, and then if we're going to be charging those types of groups moving forward. I know Christy's done some research about other cities and what they do, so if you guys have questions about that, she'll be happy to answer those for you. I know we've talked about raising the fees before. They have been pretty consistent since I started. I don't think we've raised them, so.
So what you're looking for is potentially raising fees overall from the 300 that it is for the Friday, Saturday, right? And then Sunday through Thursday is 175.
125 for 5 hours, I believe.
Okay. So there's a lot of components here.
Yeah.
With the fees, because you're also thinking about all the other organizations that are involved, right? Does that include like the Lions, Grace Place, Feed, Fire Department, Celebrate Montrose?
I think maybe the only one it wouldn't include would be the Lions.
It didn't include the Lions and it wouldn't include the fire department.
Just the nonprofit?
Unless the fire department was using it
No,
for
like
their
Celebrate
relief.
Montrose, I mean, they fundraise, so it would include them and then nonprofit groups, correct?
And the fire department would pay if it was for their relief association.
Correct.
Oh, just for their fundraiser?
Yeah. Not for their monthly meetings.
So we would pay for our fundraiser. But
The
for our
rental fee.
meetings and trainings and stuff.
Right.
As a department of the city, we would use the space.
Right.
Now, is that a set in stone idea of charging the nonprofits, or would there be, thoughts on a nonprofit that's recognized by state of Minnesota, federal government, yada, 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 would get, they could have one free rental a month or 12 days in a year or something like that?
Yeah, and we're open to discussion about that, certainly. The problem right now that we're having is the people who are allowed to use it for free are sort of abusing that and using it multiple times a month. They're using it for possibly purposes that they didn't say they were using it for. There's been just some incidences,
I'm fine with
damage.
I'm fine with no fee, but what I'm not fine with is using this as a storage facility. And too many times I've come in here and there's things all over the place being hidden. There's doors that are locked that should not be locked, that are not owned by the group that is doing this. There's times where I've come back here and I've had food just placed behind this table. People aren't cleaning up after themselves, so kind of goes back to this community garden thing. If you're going to use it correctly. If not, we won't have it for you.
Do we have a damage deposit for nonprofits?
Not currently, and that could also be an option.
So my follow-up to that would be then not that I want to charge everybody in the world, and certainly not an astronomical amount, but if a nonprofit group were to cause some sort of significant damage that needs to be repaired or replaced, how would we go about recouping some of that cost?
Currently, we don't really have a way to do that.
Not that they do or would, I'm just asking.
So I did, I'm sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
I did an audit of 2023. In 2023, we had 35 paid rentals and we had 63 non-paid rentals. It's not about not charging for it's not about charging for the non-rental or for the, it's not about not getting the payment necessarily. It's just as much about, you think about, that is double the wear and tear with no way to make sure that the building is here in 5 years and 10 years and 15 years because there's no money to maintain the floor, the paint, the outside, when you're giving it away for free, almost double than what you're getting a fee for. You're just, it's
How many of those
difficult.
63 rentals are we sending in somebody to clean it the next day?
Everyone,
So now we're absolutely losing money.
yes. So I did an audit of 4 local cities, Delano, Waverly, Howard Lake, and Rockford Township. One of those cities gives the Lions one free day a year, that's it. And again, we aren't necessarily looking for that. We're looking for some sort of happy medium.
What would that look like? So if we were to do, so like the rental fee currently is Sunday through Thursday, you know, the whatever.
125.
The 125.
It's a minimum of 125, so it's 25 an hour.
Right, so I'm gonna put it out there, just so you know. Community meals is during the week, so it'd be cheaper. Where Celebrate Montrose is a weekend, and that's a $300 fee. Is that what you're thinking is of charging? The weekend fee and the weekly fee? Or what are you proposing?
I guess I'm not. It's kind of up to you guys what you're proposing, you know? I mean, you're the decision makers, so kind of giving you the information, and then you,
What's our cost to have it come in, if somebody come in and clean the place?
I mean, that's relatively inexpensive. I would say probably $40 a time. when you
Yeah, it
think of-
depends how long she's in here, usually 4 to 5 hours, and I think she gets,
It's incredibly reasonable,
Yeah.
but it's probably $40 to $50 per cleaning, I would imagine.
I would say $50 maybe.
But she's not gonna do it forever. And at some point, we're gonna have to go out and
At
get,
some point, we're gonna have to have a service, which is gonna be exponentially more expensive.
correct, especially for half a day to sit out here and clean it.
Yeah.
So when you looked at these other cities, is that how they were doing it? So obviously there's a weekday and a weekend fee. Is that how they were charging, or?
You know, I've got them here. They're charging, it looks like there's anywhere from $150 to full price. Some of them don't offer any discount, and it looks like the lowest is $150. Now, that ranges, obviously, based on their facility. And a couple of the cities, I think Delano was one of them, that if they're in there and there's a paid person who wants to come in, they have to go. So there's some caveats there. And again, I don't know that we're necessarily looking for that, right? Like, that feels really extreme. It's just a matter of something to pay for the water and the lights and the cleaning and to maintain this building so it's here for the community.
Sorry, Kirby.
Nope, you're good.
So when you say here for the community, that is what all of these events are doing, is for the community.
Well, some of them are, right, and then other people have their, weddings here, or they have their
Right.
reunions here, so it for lots of capacities, right, not just that.
Right, because I think it's going to put a very huge impact on a certain organization if we tend to charge them, to where they may not be able to continue to do what they do. And at the end of the meeting, I'm going to acknowledge what it is that they do. That sounds really bad, but I don't know. I know that there's some people here that want to have I don't know if you want to have that input now, Kirby, or?
I would like to see some sort of damage deposit and some sort of cleaning requirement too. So if we have any nonprofit group that comes in regardless, that they need to clean afterwards so that we don't have to have whatever cleaning person we have at the time, which I've tried to go out and ask if there's any cleaning services around, and zero replies. Because nobody wants an account that small. So.
Yeah. Which, why it's worked so well having the person that we have been having. She's done it for a long time. She's cleaned City Hall as well. Ultimately, the money has to come from somewhere, so if it doesn't come from the groups that are using the community center, it comes from the taxpayers.
And I'm just sitting here looking around right now, and I can see drywall that needs to be repaired,
The floor
painting.
needs to be repaired,
Floor
the
needs to be
concrete all the way
repaired.
around the building pretty much needs to be repaired. There's a parking lot fix that needs to be done.
I talked to Buffalo, and they give a discounted rate to 501Cs. We don't have to follow anyone's, ordinance here on how we want to do this. We can go ahead and do this however we want. But I do think that there needs to be some sort of fee here. 60, what'd you say, 63 unpaid?
63 and
63
35.
and 35. I mean, again, our cleaning lady's not gonna work forever.
And we do have to, since COVID, we do have to have it cleaned after each group and before the next group. So it can't be something that the nonprofits clean, it has to be cleaned by a cleaning person.
And we got a $60,000 quote to replace the flooring in here. I mean, where's that gonna come from? I mean,
So you bring up the taxpayers again, in all reality, bottom line is the taxpayers are the ones that are using this community center for the community events that come in here, for the
Easter egg.
2,400 families that got food from here, for the 1,200 meals that were produced from this community center.
Do you think it would be fair to collect a damage deposit from these groups?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. But then I have to go back to what David had talked about. You're right, there are locks on, I don't know how that, if there was approval for that beforehand, if it was just happened, I don't know. I do know, but,
We can't store any perishable food in there. Health department comes in, that kitchen's done.
And the kitchen is not
There's no-
really a commercial grade kitchen anyways, so.
right.
We don't need any more attention on this.
So then with that, you would suggest that that group takes out all of their stuff? Potentially?
If it's perishable food, I would say, yeah, they shouldn't be keeping it in here.
I think it's just equipment.
Well, and again, we never discussed that either.
Okay.
I mean, that could be something that could be brought to a discussion with council or staff, but
Right.
it just has not
if
been.
they wanna pay to store stuff here.
I do think too, if there is somebody wanting to pay to use it, we do need to have the discussion on if they should take priority over a free group. It's a terrible discussion, but we have to have it.
Because, obviously, events are planned ahead of time, and if we had a rental come in, that would be hard to kick a group
I think
out.
there would need to be a notice on it, like they couldn't come in.
There's an easy
Friday
way.
before.
Here's an easy way. If cleaning costs $50, rental for a nonprofit is $50. Cover the cleaning cost that is charged by the city. That way it saves their date. Nobody that pays the full price can come in and take their date.
Are there any, and I know there's a hand raised, nonprofit groups that would like an input on this right now?
Please approach the podium and state your name and address. Thank you.
Don't hurt yourself. Santa.
Mayor, council, city staff. I represent several groups that are nonprofits, VFW, Scouts as well, both Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA, the troop, as well as Celebrate Montrose Committee, and have some dabbling with Grace Place as well that does community meals. The question that I have for you is this: what specifically are the requirements that require a service cleaning company to do the cleaning with regard to COVID-19?
I'll ask you a question first. Name and address, please.
Greg Humans, 335 Garfield Avenue South, Montrose.
I got you, Jess.
So that's my question, is what that specific requirement is that requires a cleaning service to come in and clean. I know with the Scouts, we come in and we sweep the floors and we spot clean the floors when we come in here. We don't have access to the mop room, so we don't have a mop, and we certainly can't pour mop down the sink in the kitchen, which creates more problems. There is a place where we can dump it outside in the drain at the end of the parking lot. But what is the specific requirement that requires the cleaning to be done by a commercial service for COVID-19? I don't know whether that's in state requirement or something of that nature. That's what I'd like to find out. Secondly, with regard to the cleaning, can that be included in that requirement for your nonprofits that they clean and service the building as well with part of their cleaning? That can be inspected by whomever, come over and inspect the premises. If a cleaning is required, then that could come out of a deposit that's made for the use of the facility. Okay, so there's options for that. I know that whenever we do that, and also when we do community meals, all the tables are wiped down and sanitized, all the chairs are cleaned, and the floors are swept as well. But we would like to have access to the mop room so we can mop. I mean, we'd be glad to do that. It's one of the things we do. The other thing that I want to call your attention to on page 105 of your packets is that proof of insurance. I don't have any problem with that. I think it's a great idea. What I'd like to know is for nonprofits that use it on a regular basis, can that proof of insurance be on file at the city rather than provided every time?
I would imagine so.
Second thing, on that same page right under it, you'll see that city council is required to approve any public activity. Now, the question I have is, what do you consider a public activity? When the scouts come in and they do the Pinewood Derby, that's a closed event. It's just scout families and other people. But when you do a community meal, that's a public event. When the VFW does a Memorial Day service here because of inclement weather, that's a public event. Does that require us to come before city council every time and request approval? Or can we do a city council approval for those activities as a carte blanche for those types of activities? For instance, VFW for Memorial Day, can we get city council approval to use the facility as an alternate location in inclement weather? For the Scouts, can we get city approval for the Blue and Gold Banquet? For the Pinewood Derby? For Eagle ceremonies, Eagle Scout ceremonies? For Celebrate Montrose Community, can we get prior approval for the Halloween dance event? The Breakfast with Santa and the holiday activities that became an all-day event. I didn't see many of you out there, but it was a great day. Okay, for fish fries, 2 of them that are conducted here. For the coronation event, for the royalty, that's a subordinate group to the community of Montrose, or Montrose Celebrate Montrose. And for 4 bingo events they use for fundraising. Does that need to be done right now? Can we get city approval for those events? Or how is that going to be handled? So those are my questions as a council, is how do you plan to address those? I certainly don't have a problem with putting a damage deposit down. I think if those groups are responsible for damage to the facility, they own it. And we certainly would own that as well. What I do have some concerns about is charging the fee because we have to have somebody else clean it. What I would like to see is be able to have the organization clean it and repair it as needed, or clean it to make sure that it's inspected and says, yeah, it's clean. We don't have to have a service come in and do it. If we do have to have a service come in and it's inspected and say, hey, y'all didn't do anything. You left food behind the counter, you left stuff in here, you left dirt on the floors weren't mopped, etc. Well, we're going to have a cleaning service and you're going to be billed for that out of your deposit. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. Where I do see issues is that this is a community service. It's a community center. And these nonprofits provide a service to the community in many, many different aspects. And charging them fees for it will come out of their end. And most of them are on a pretty thin budget, just like everybody else. So I would ask that you consider that in how you look at this process. Subject to your questions, that's what I have tonight.
These are all good questions, and part of this is also looking at some of the language that is probably outdated and some stuff that needs to be changed in here.
And maybe not typed on a green screen computer.
Yeah, it's old, obviously, so looking through some of that.
Is there any other nonprofits that do have input or questions that they would like to address now? So that we may not answer them right now, but they will be answered in the future when we talk about this again.
Hi, guys. Kim Niska, 523 2nd Street South in Montrose. Just a question. You were talking about the storage of items and things like that. Currently, we have 2 cupboards in the kitchen that we have locked right now. Somewhere along the line, it was given to us to use. I just want to understand how that will impact that. Do we need to move those things? Are you going to consider that? Just something to consider. And definitely I have to echo what Greg said, charging the amounts. I get it. You need to pay for cleaning and things like that. And we would be happy to clean up and I'll personally inspect it all to make sure there's no food around, things like that. But charging maybe $50 or more each time when we're doing, say, feed, we're doing community meals or whatever kind of things that we do, it's really, really going to impact our bottom line. Certainly, I know there's grants out there, but they're really hard to come by right now. So I just wanted to mention that cost it's going to be hard on us. I do agree that having some sort of damage deposit is probably a good idea. And I think it keeps people honest. It really does. Just wanted to note that. And, we respect your decisions, but just consider the impact it can have on all the people we serve, because we serve a lot of people during the month. So I just don't want to have to make that change for any reason. So thanks for listening.
Thanks, Kim. Thank you. I gotta kind of agree with, I like Greg's idea of the damage deposit. You don't clean it. Cleaning fee comes out of your damage deposit. I like that idea.
Christie did say that it's a requirement to have it clean.
That's what I was told.
Yeah,
I was
we'll look
told that
into
by the
that
building.
because I think Michael said that or looked into that. So we'll look into that again and make sure that's still the case.
And one of those things is, who polices that?
If I could, one thing that I would ask for League of Minnesota Cities as well is that if it is a requirement, is there specifics that need to be done that
Right.
those nonprofits could do? In other words,
Exactly.
specific sanitization things or specific cleaning requirements that must be met to meet those guidelines for COVID-19.
Yeah, there's a lot more questions than answers, I think, right now. And I think just starting this ball rolling of just kind of looking over everything and, kind of coming to a happy medium, what could work best for, you guys, and obviously keep this building around for the next 10 to 15 years too. So I think, that's what I got.
I mean, first thing you gotta figure out is, was that something that was during COVID-19 and now is gone?
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, if it still exists. Yeah.
If it's required by the state still to this day, I think that ends that discussion about who's gonna clean.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
unfortunately, I think the state will make that decision.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Mr. Mayor, add one more thing. One thing that we might want to consider as well is that there's a usage requirement for electricity and water. I know with the scouts, we pitch in for the electricity that we use in our scout hut, and we pay the city for that. That might be something that we look at as what's an average cost of electric and water usage when we're using this facility. And that might be something that we pitch in from our nonprofits to say, hey, we're going to cover that as well as part of what we're doing for renting the facility or for using the facility. And that I can understand, a nominal fee that's not going to be huge. And if we do the cleaning, then that would probably help both sides of the issue. It reduced costs for the city because you wouldn't have the $40 cleaning fee, and it reduced costs for the city because we're covering the water and electric that we use on floor.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make it clear too that I don't think the intention of anybody up here or part of the city is to nickel and dime all of the nonprofit groups to pay for upgrades, but just to make sure that the city can pay for things that get damaged or broken or need to be replaced, especially
maintained.
And general maintenance too. So, what about? This will be my little last item of discussion on this. What is there a recommendation of a increase in fee? Has there been any discussion on that? I mean, I think, if I remember correctly, Waverly's is like $4.50, right?
They vary quite a bit.
Theirs is just closest proximity, but they have a stage and they have other things that they offer as well, but.
Yeah, they're $4.50. And
$4.50.
a $150 cleaning fee comes out of your rental charge.
Yeah, that's 450. And then what was the other, end of the spectrum was expensive.
750.
Howard Lake had, how much was theirs?
Oh, 1,300.
Yeah, theirs was,
And nonprofit, no, 1,700 and nonprofits were 1,300, which is
For what?
insane.
It's a lot,
Yeah.
yeah.
it's-
For what?
Yeah.
that's for their new one on top
Yeah,
of like.
and that's
It
bigger.
overviews the lake
That
and the,
overviews the lake. It's very pretty inside, but yeah, you pay for it.
yeah, and if the wind is blowing the wrong direction, it smells like the feed place that's 2 blocks down.
Perhaps.
But
Well, I think we
Well,
got it all rolling well tonight. We can maybe have a future council workshop on this and talk more ideas for fees or deposits for these different groups.
Do you want to have that, though, come January with our fee
I mean, we can
schedule?
always do an amendment to the fee schedule at some point next year. I think it's more important to have more discussion about this and to look into some more things, some of the things Greg brought up and Kim. So I think we need to kind of pause and come back to this.
When we do come back to it, can we get a breakdown? I know you said that there were 63 days of rental usage. Can we get a breakdown on, like, let's say Celebrate Montrose, how many times we were in here? So if we do
Like which different groups are using it, how many
So if we
different
have a
times?
$50 fee each time, we kind of know going into it what it could cost us for the year?
Yep. We might need maybe your help with some of that, because some of it's a little gray with which group is exactly hosting which event. Particularly like this feed and some of the community meals. And
Right, because we're a little bit of everything.
I'd like to make sure too that we have those discussions about a certain number of days that the nonprofits can get free usage, and anything over that. I mean, let's just say one group was using it 30 times a year themselves, I think that would warrant being charged a fee for something, but.
Another point of discussion could be too with Park and Rec, we're adding that recreation portion into it. At the last meeting, we talked about that I'm going to be reaching out to Delano Senior Center because a lot of our seniors go there. So if we bring them back here for a game night, a card night, a paint night, or whatever it's going to be in here. How is that impacted? So.
Well,
think about
It'd be
I wouldn't think it
city
would. It's a city
programming, so,
program.
yeah.
But if we use it once a month, that kind of goes into, just so we kind of know what those numbers are and where we're at with everything.
Oh,
And I mean, we need clarification on that.
yeah, because it could
Because
be,
are we
if it is
going to?
50, if it is $50, then it would be $50 out of the Park and Rec budget.
But that's part of the city using, that'd be like charging the city council for using this more than once a month.
But I guess what I'm getting at is, if they were to do, Park and Rec were to do it, could it be once a month, or do you want it quarterly so that they're not using it as frequently? So, just, top questions. Because once I reach out to him, I kind of want to know, what we're looking at. Are we going to do a monthly thing for, getting all them? Because there's 200 people from the city of Montrose that go to Delano, that we need to get back here. So do we want to do a monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly? What do we want to do? Just things to think about.
All right, anything else on the community center fee discussion? Okay, I believe the next one is for the water access charge, increase from 2,900 to 3,000.
Mayor and Council, this is just our regular.
Yearly
yearly.
$100 raise to this.
I'll make a resolution to pass 2023-41, resolution increasing the Montrose water access charge.
Second. Further discussion? I'll vote aye. Mr. Solars? Aye. Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Similarly, the next one is for the sewer access charge increase, and that one is going from 5,700 to 5,800 as our annual increase.
I'll make a motion to pass resolution number 2023-42, increasing the Montrose sewer access charge.
I'll second.
Further discussion? I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. And the next one is a resolution increasing the Montrose water system monthly tier rates. A base rate increase of $6 monthly and an increase to tier 1 from $6 to $6.25 per thousand gallons, tier 2 from $6.60 per thousand to $6.88, increase of 28 cents per thousand gallons, and tier 3 from $7.26 to $7.57 per thousand gallons.
And the reason for these increases are, well, ABDO has suggested that we increase by 3% every year, but the base rate is going to help pay for some of our debt that is going to be coming due soon in 2024 for the 2021 downtown improvement project that we did not assess for. So we need to increase rates to pay for that.
And, I mean, our base rate, as much as
Lowest.
people will notice $6 on their
Area.
bill, yeah, I mean, there's other towns that have $30, $40, $50 base rates, and that's just the very minimum for your bill. So, an increase of $8 maybe, depending, so. I'll make a motion to pass resolution number 2023-43, increasing the Montrose water system monthly and tier rates.
Second.
Further discussion? I'll vote aye. Ms. Otto?
Aye.
Mr. Nelson?
Aye.
Mr. Paradise?
Aye.
Mr. Solars?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Open forum, have a request. Mr. Greg Humans.
Back again, Mayor, Council, City Staff. Greg Humans, 335 Garfield Avenue South. It's my understanding that Park and Rec will no longer be conducting the Easter egg hunt going forward. And we would request that the Easter egg capsules that they have be provided to the Celebrate Montrose Committee so that we may host that event. And since they were paid by the city, it needs council approval. I've talked with Park and Rec, they're fine with passing them on.
Might need some new ones, because the last new ones they bought were very tough to get shut on some of them.
Understand, point taken.
But yes.
Hey, I had my own bucket that I filled of those. They
I
just,
know. They were tricky.
All right.
yeah, they were. We have to add that to next month, right? Because we can't make a motion in open forum.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah, I'll put it on the January agenda. That's fine.
Perfect. Upcoming meetings, EDA, December 19th, 12 p.m., Montrose City Hall. Park and Rec, January 2nd, 6 p.m., Montrose City Hall. The regular city council meeting, January 8th, 7 p.m., Montrose Community Center. And planning and zoning, Wednesday, January 10th, 7 p.m., Montrose Community Center. Acknowledgements, recognitions, and announcements.
I have a couple. I want to acknowledge and recognize Grace Place for everything that they've done this year. As I mentioned earlier, that the feed program has helped out 2,400 families. Their community meals, 1,200 families have come in. Full Table Friday, which is a food drop of 3 times a month. 3 to 4 times a month. 2,772 families that have been, so again, we're gonna go back to what we were talking about before. It's a huge impact that Grace Place does to our community. I wanna thank you guys for all of that. Celebrate Montrose for this past weekend. All of our board members, our volunteers that came out to help with Breakfast with Santa. We had a good turnout, great event. Public Works for putting out all the lights and getting that all taken care of for us. And then David and Aubrey Paradise for And Sam Solars for also helping contribute to trees that were donated to families here in town.
Check your box. Check your box.
And then Kirby Moyna as well.
I don't care, just check your box. I just wanted to make sure it was out there too, the fire department dinner in February coming up, Fire Department Relief Association, sorry. Evan Keiko on his time on the Montrose Fire Department. Hopefully he enjoys Alaska and does a lot of salmon fishing. As always, the Public Works and City staff, you guys did great, especially on the budget side of things. And Michelle said it earlier, but Jackie, I really love the new format for the accounts payable stuff. It's great to see it all broken down instead of lumped together, so thank you for doing that.
And I would like to just say, welcome to Jackie.
Oh, thank you.
Longest meeting we've had all year. Welcome, Jackie.
I hear a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned.
When's our next meeting?